Married Christian, does it feel like your marriage is cracking wide open, where there's constant miscommunication, misunderstanding, conflict that doesn't ever seem to get resolved? Maybe there's silence, maybe there's explosive anger, maybe there's just this deep, deep knowing that the connection is lost. If that's you, please listen up. Is it possible to save your marriage in a matter of weeks? For some of you watching this video, you might be scratching the internet for any kind of help. Can I save my marriage? My spouse has said they're done. And it can feel impossible. And the truth is that your marriage is inching closer and closer to the point of no return if you do nothing. Everyone says you need to talk about your problems and your feelings for there to be resolution. And I could not disagree more. It is not more talking about your problems and more talking about your feelings when you're in this angry, resentful, and hurt state. You've got to learn how to actually shift your emotional state first so that healthy communication can happen because there's no solving anything if you're in that frantic spot, if there's defensiveness and blame, if there's the explosive anger that comes up or the judgment of each other. Two things happen when you keep talking about your feelings and problems in that same emotional state. First of all, it exacerbates and amplifies those feelings in you. The more angry you are and the more you talk about it when you're angry, the angrier you'll get. Have you ever noticed that? The more frustrated you are and the more you talk about the frustration and all the frustrating things that your spouse does, the more frustrated you will feel. It exacerbates those feelings. The other thing that happens when you talk about your problems and feelings is there's probably a continuation of miscommunication. Because if you haven't been hearing each other and you haven't been understanding each other up until now, more talking, getting louder, getting meaner, getting more hateful, starting with the threats and the contempt, that's not going to help you solve the problem. So there are three things you need to do right away if your marriage feels like it's cracking wide open. Number one, you have got to stop poisoning the marriage with the hateful speech that you're using. All the blaming, all the defensiveness, all the harsh, angry words, the contempt, the criticism, the nagging, the complaining, all of that has to stop so that you can get your feet underneath you and you can start to rebuild. You can't be right and get after the thing that you want, which is to save your marriage. Being right is overrated. Secondly, you'll want to invite God into the process of changing your heart, changing your mind, and changing your behavior and the way you speak. The minute we stop blaming our spouse, the minute we stop pointing the fingers, the minute we stop deflecting and minimizing and not taking accountability for our part of the dysfunction, is the minute that healing can begin. We can't change our spouse. We can't change how they think. We can't change how they feel. We can't change how they behave. But what we can do is we can change the dynamics by going first and inviting God into this process of transforming your heart and your mind and therefore your behavior. So many helps out there are only focused on the external behavior, like say this, do that. And it's like you can't do those things out of a hard heart. You can't do those things when you've been poisoning your mind with lies about your situation or your spouse. We've got to change our heart before the Lord. We've got to ask Him to take that bitterness and that resentment, to wash it away, and invite Him into the process of surrendering and letting that stuff go so that now we can renew our mind. We can stop believing the lies, and now our behavior, the outward change can happen once the internal work has been done on your heart and mind. And that's a process of inviting the Lord into the situation so that those things can happen. We can't do it in our angry, sinful, fleshful state of mind. We just can't. The beautiful thing is when you invite the Lord into that situation, everything can change. In fact, I'll prove it. One of our clients recently told us, I was blown away by many things, but the biggest thing for me was gratitude and the ability to change our mind. I think so often I was holding on to bitterness and letting my mind form a view of my wife that was not healthy. So I was being grateful for what we have and who she is that has been such a light to how I view her now. And I've already noticed immediate change. When you can invite God into the process of changing your heart and mind, then you'll be ready for step number three, which is inviting a mentor into the mess with you. When you're humble enough to say, we can't figure this out on our own, we want help, we want guidance, we want someone to mentor and coach us, then transformation can happen. Because, as many of our mentors have said, the inside of the jar can't see the outside of the label. We can't read what's on the outside when we're in the middle of it. So, inviting somebody else in to help call out your blind spots, to show you those pitfalls that you keep falling into, to help point out the patterns that you've been in so that now those patterns can break. Everything can change. So if you're ready to implement those three steps and many more, if you're ready to stop the harsh, harmful words, the poison of the marriage with the way that we speak to one another, if you're ready to invite the Lord into the situation so He can soften your heart, so he can give you a change of heart as he promises to do. If you're ready to invite him into the process of learning how to renew your mind and take those thoughts captive and have a different outlook, a different mindset, a different perspective, and if you're ready to invest in coaching and mentoring and have some believers come alongside you to help you, to walk with you, to point out those patterns, to notice those tendencies, to point out the blind spots, those pitfalls that you fall in over and over again, to show you how to notice those patterns, I want to encourage you to book a call with us. We will help you get massive clarity about what's not been working in your marriage and about the root causes of why you guys have been stuck. Then, what we'll do is we'll talk about and get massive clarity about what it is you want help building in your marriage. How do you want it to feel? What kind of connection, closeness, laughter, peace, trust? What do you want it to look and feel like? And then we'll help you build a strategy to get there. And then, if we are certain that one of our programs is a perfect fit to help you get where you want to go quickly, we will absolutely lay out what that would look like to work together. So go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call and book a time that you can definitely make work. Honor the time, set a reminder, put it in your calendar, get your spouse involved if they're willing, and let's get to work on restoring your marriage and building something even more beautiful, something that God intends for your marriage. Let's do it in a matter of weeks, not months or years. turnaroundmarriage.com/call.